This thing won't leave me alone. I've been put in a nursing home, but I assure you I do not belong here. You need to know about this and why I'm here. I have to make this quick. I'm not sure how much time I have left before he gets me. First off, nothing they say about me is true. Everything I saw was real. I saw him first in the shadows and behind corners. Then he would show up behind me in reflections of windows, but whenever I turned around there was nothing. Always nothing. I lived in a quaint suburb just out of LA. Nothing ever happened out here. Plus, we had a new neighbourhood watch, so surely if something was wrong in the neighbourhood, we would all know. This is what I told myself as I got more and more paranoid as I saw him more frequently. I tried so hard to believe it. I tried, and I failed. I kept seeing him every day for weeks. He never got any closer than maybe 20 yards away. I was still getting more and more paranoid by the day. I had to tell somebody, but who? I haven't talked to any of my friends in months, and my son Max lives in Michigan, and I haven't talked to him since the last family reunion 2 years ago. I can't just randomly contact any of them and open up about that. It would freak anyone out wanting to talk to me ever again. At one point, I just settled on getting a therapist. It's not like I had anyone else I could really talk to. I made an appointment with my new therapist for in a week's time. I didn't see him at all during the week, but my paranoia still wouldn't settle. I went to the therapist after that week. After they'd all heard all I had to say, all they would say is that I may be having some anxiety and should get out and see people more. I thought that was the stupidest thing I'd ever heard, and they knew they were wrong. But I just said okay and I went home. I got out my car and started to walk towards my door while fishing my keys out my purse. I finally found my keys and looked up to the door, and there he was, standing inside my house, staring at me through my window. We were staring at each other for what felt like minutes, eyes locked. At least I thought they were eyes. I hoped they were eyes. There was something empty and chilling about them. I wanted to scream, run, get in my car and never come back, but I was frozen, unable to move. It felt like my throat was closing and something was stuck. I was helpless, standing there for what felt like days, and then he just disappeared. 1 second he was standing right there, and the next, gone. I don't know where he went, but that was my cue to bolt. I ran to my car and booked it to the nearest hotel and bought a room for a few days while I figured out what to do. But I had to get some sleep first. It's been a month since I had some decent sleep. That night was no different. I woke up in the middle of the night. I woke up to feeling like someone was watching me. I reached to my right and turned on the bedside lamp, and the room illuminated a little, and I was able to see a figure standing on the other side of the room in a dark corner. I couldn't see any of his features, but I knew it was him. The man who had been stalking me from behind the corners and shadows was finally in a room with me. I felt that icy cold chill again, that emptiness that made you feel depressed inside. He took one big heavy step into the light, and I got to see him for the first time ever. I so wish it could have been my last. He seemed to look so normal at first. About 6 feet tall, he wore light brown work boots, faded blue jeans, a black long-sleeve shirt, and a puffy dark green sleeveless vest. But then my eyes met his face. His pale skin was pulled taut over his bones. It was like someone else's face was pulled over his own. He had a lipless smile, so tight and stretched it looked like the corner of his mouth was stapled just below his eyes. And his eyes, I don't know what they were, but they weren't eyes. That empty chill just grew more intense the longer I looked into them. He had these black voids for eyes, like someone had placed bottomless pits into his eye sockets. I looked him in the voids and I felt like I looked on forever. There was just nothing there. I felt the same helpless feeling I felt hours before in front of my house, but this time I ran. Something crashed behind me, but I didn't look back. I ran to the lobby where I hoped nightlife would protect me. I called the police and told them everything. When they got here, all they found there was a trashed room and nothing else. He was gone. Again. I got charged with the destruction of the property and got put in a nursing home when they told me I was senile and had been diagnosed with dementia and schizophrenia. I knew they were wrong, but maybe I'd be safe here. Just maybe. That hope died when I found a piece of paper on my bedside table. It had just a big splotch of ink in the middle, but for some reason, that random splotch seemed so familiar. It looked wet. I pressed my finger to the paper and touched the wet ink, but nothing stopped it. My finger just kept going. My finger had gone through the piece of paper like a portal to another dimension. Inside the ink it was empty and freezing. That's when I knew why it was familiar. Whatever this was, it's what his eyes were made of. I knew that I would soon be dead. This is my warning to you, Max. If you see him, and you don't have much time left. Please do whatever you can to kill that thing. I don't know if it's possible, but please just try. He's outside my door now, and he hasn't moved for over an hour. But it's not long before he takes me. I need you to know about him, so I thought I would warn you with my final minutes. Remember, Max, you are never safe. He is in your shadow, or maybe even over your shoulder, and he's always there. But that's the problem. You never know where. You are never safe, and you are never alone. Please be careful.